How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the next installment of my mass monster hunting series. Throughout this video, we'll be looking into the somewhat recently improved Dust Devils. This video was requested by VTH8ER81. Now, if you'll remember from a while back, Dust Devils were incredibly pointless just to kill for any monetary gain. Their only use was killing them if you were assigned them as a Slayer task. They dropped a few items you could alch here and there, but nothing overwhelmingly incredible. But now, their drop table has been exponentially buffed, and they are much more worth your time to kill recreationally. And of course, if you're assigned them as a Slayer task. So as usual, let's get into some background information. Now, the Dust Devils are located in either the Smoke Dungeon, which is out in the desert, or in the Catacombs of Karen. You're going to need a face mask to kill these because they will do a ton of damage, and they will kill you very quickly if you don't, so you're either going to want a face mask or the Slayer Helm. Their combat level is 93, their hit points level 105, they are not aggressive and not poisonous, and their max hit is 8. They require a Slayer level of 65 to kill, and you will get 105 Slayer XP for killing them. Their attack is pretty high, 105, their defense is absolutely atrocious, so they are very easy to kill even if you are of a lower combat level. As for their drops, their weapons and armor include rune arrows, adamant axes, rune daggers, red and black dragonhide vambraces, air battle staffs and mystic air staffs, earth battle staffs and mystic earth staffs, dragon dagger, and their unique, very rare drops are the dust battle staff and the dragon chain body. As for runes, they drop dust runes, earth runes, and fire runes very commonly. If you stay here for a good amount of time, you will get a lot of them. Chaos runes are uncommon. They're listed as uncommon, but they are quite common. You'll get 80 of those at a time. And the soul runes are a little bit less common. Those are actually an uncommon drop, 20 or 50 dropped at one time. They do drop a fair amount of herbs, so if you have an herb sack, I do recommend taking it with you, as I did. Random drops, coins, 2,000 to 4,000, those are very common, so you're either going to want to wear a Ring of Wealth or just pick them up. I opted for the Warrior Ring while I was killing them. I rather just pick them up. Ukthenki kebabs, 4 of those at a time. Those are pretty common. It says here 1 out of 64, but I did find myself getting them quite a lot. They do help you keep your sustain up. Mithril bars and adamant bars noted, and because I was killing them in the Karen Catacombs, I got the Ancient Shards, Dark Totem bases, Dark Totem middle, and the Dark Totem top. Now let's get into my preferred gear setup so we can see what the best way to kill them is. So as my gear setup, I decided to go with the Slayer Helmet, Fire Cape, Amulet of Torture, Abyssal Whip, Bandos top and bottom, Dragon Defender, Pharaoh's Gloves, Primordial Boots, and a Warrior's Ring. I think this was the most effective as it gave me the highest slash bonus that I could get, and they are pretty weak to slash bonus. Their primary weakness is magic, but as for a melee standpoint, I think this is the best you'll be able to do. Now you can use other gear if you can't afford this stuff, like Thorax, maybe Darox, something along those lines that will help keep your defense up so you can stay here the maximum amount of time. In my inventory, you'll see I have 2 supersets, a Smoke Battle Staff, Nature Runes, House Teleports, Bones of Peach's Tab, and an Herb Sack. I bring 2 supersets because using them for their full duration, you'll be able to spend 2.5 hours here without banking. As for the alchemies, I recommend alching every staff drop along with all the vambraces and dragon daggers. I believe this is the best way to go about it because it will maximize your trip time, and the market value of these items isn't too different from the alchemy value. It's much more convenient just to alch on the spot rather than keep banking to just sell it all off at the GE later for nearly the same price. And lastly, Bones of Peach's Tabs. They are probably the most important part of killing the Dust Devils for long periods of time. I initially started off with 200 tabs, and I ended up only using 84 of them over the course of 25 hours. These combined with the kebab drops will more than satisfy the need for food here. The kebab drops are somewhat common, so these drops will definitely help with keeping your HP up. I think this will be a good guide if you want to get started making some money here. So now let's get into my loot, and we'll see what I can sell it all off and make maximum profit as. Now before we get right into the loot selling, I do want to bring up a couple screenshots that I managed to grab throughout this 25-hour task. I did manage to get a dragon chain body, and let me remind you guys the drop rate of that is 1 in 32,768, and if you look down at the bottom left, you'll see that OS Buddy notified me of the drop, so you'll see that it is legitimate. Shortly after this, maybe only an hour or so, I ended up also getting the Dust Battle Staff drop, which is also considered a very rare drop. It is 1 in 4,000. If you've watched some of my past videos, you'll notice that my RNG is pretty good, and this pretty much just added on to my RNG being pretty good. I think it is excellent. So now let's get into actually selling the loot. I am not going to include these drops in the final value because they are pretty rare and not everybody's going to be getting them. So I don't think it would be good to add it into the average loot. Alright, so now as we get into the actual loot of my trip, you're going to see in my inventory 4.645 million in coins. This is everything I got from picking up the coin drops and alching all the staffs, the dragon daggers, and the black and red dragon hide vambraces. 2,870 soul runes, 12,960 chaos runes, 54,800 dust runes, 70,200 earth runes, and 75,300 fire runes. That's a pretty good rune haul if you ask me. 640 mithril bars, 120 adamant bars, 1,584 rune arrows, of course the dragon chain body and the dust battle staff. 1 tooth half key was all I managed to get from here out of all the tooth half keys I could have dropped from killing these for 25 hours. And some various herb drops. I figured I'd pick those up and sell them as well, net me a few extra 100k. So let's get rid of all this stuff and see what I come out with. Alright, so my final cash value is 8,425,546 GP. I'm not disappointed at all with how much I made, given how much it cost me to kill these dust devils for 25 hours. At the end, this ends up averaging out to be about 337k per hour. I managed to kill 2,821 dust devils in the total 25 hours, which will average out to about 3,000 GP per kill. As for a money-making method, I do recommend this to those of you who are lower combat levels. I'd say lower than 110 or maybe 105. I know it's not easy to boss at those levels, so I think this might make a good substitute. If you are over 110 combat, I'd suggest checking out some of my other videos to find out something that suits your level more. With that, I think that'll do it for this video. I'm only going to be doing 3 more episodes of my mass monster hunting series, which will include 25 hours of each spiritual mages, deviant specters, and smoke devils. After that, I'll be moving on to bigger and better videos, which I'll be telling you all about later in this series. So thank you everyone for taking the time to check out this video. Keep old schooling, and as always, take it easy.
I'm like, hey, what's up?